In Lesson 2.8, you applied a CSS style to some div tags. But you might be wondering exactly what a div tag is. Div and span tags, which will be covered in this lesson, are used as containers for your page's content, in order to apply a CSS style to multiple elements. In this lesson, you'll work with the div tag and its partner, the span tag. To begin, open the HTML test sample file from your sample files folder. And open divspantest.aspx in source view. Now click in the space between the form tags and add two div tags with the following code. Div id equals div1, div1, div id equals div2, div2. Now switch to Design View. The two div tags are displayed, but they are on separate lines, despite the fact that you didn't use any paragraph or break tags. This is because the div tag automatically starts a new line after its closing tag. You'll also notice that both of the div tags have picked up a background color. This is because there is a CSS style sheet linked to this page, called divspantest.css. Divspantest.css defines styles for any tags with the ID properties div1 or div2. Later in this lesson, you will edit the divspantest.css style sheet. Next, you're going to add some span tags. So switch back to Source View, add a new line after the last div tag, and add the following code. Span, span1, span, span2. Now switch back to Design View, and you can see that the pieces of text held in the span tags are shown side by side. Unlike div, the span tag doesn't add any line breaks automatically. Now you're going to use some CSS code to set the size of the div2 element. Open the divspantest.css file from the Styles folder. Here you can see the identifier classes that have been created for div1 and div2. Add a new line to the div2 identifier and add the following properties. Width 300 px, height 300 px. You might be wondering what px means. Px is short for pixels. As you might be aware, your computer screen is made up of thousands of tiny dots called pixels. These measurements tell the user's web browser how to display your page using pixels as a measurement unit. This can cause problems, however, as different users might have more or fewer pixels displayed on their screen. A user with more pixels will see everything appear smaller. To stretch a site to the size of a user's screen, you can use percentage measurements by using a % sign in place of px. There are also two other measurement units, called em and pt. These are used to set sizes relative to fonts. Now switch back to divspantest.aspx, and you can see that the div2 box has increased in size thanks to your CSS properties. Most modern websites use a combination of div and span tags with CSS properties to create their layouts and style their content. Some ASP.NET controls automatically create div and span tags. You'll see this in action in Lesson 3.1. Close Visual Studio now, saving your changes if prompted. You've now completed Lesson 2.10. Use the div and span tags.